And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Joe Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcast. Plus also as well, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football. Go ahead and catch Inside Sports and Fantasy Football, the ISFF, where Joe and Chris share some final thoughts on the NFC and AFC Championship weekend. So go ahead and check out their thoughts there. Plus also on Pop Culture Cosmos, I go ahead and we talk football there as well, but Don Fobbs and I talked about the expanding domination in the streaming marketplace for Netflix. So we talk about that as well on the Pop Culture Cosmos. So catch all those great shows wherever you get your podcast. Plus also as well, Lakerholics.com. Is it up? Mm-hmm. Is it alive?
Yep.
Is it something? Okay. I wasn't sure because, it just kind of didn't.
It's a battle. It's a battle out there, I tell you.
Okay. Well, Lakerholics.com does house the number one Lakers blogger that's out there, Laker Tom, and of course, Mr. Five Things himself, Jamie Sweet. So go ahead and check out what they're doing today at Lakerholics.com. Plus our good friend Joe Soro. Do not forget late night. At 11 p.m., it's Lakers Nightcap. Top off your evening with a Lakers Nightcap with Joe Soro at 11 p.m. tonight. Don't forget about that. Plus also as well, he is Ox1947 at LakersBall.com. And of course, his company Symblates. Symblates with the Y.com. And also give a big shout out to our good friends, John Costa from Lakers Corner and Clutch Talk, Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV, the John McCallion channel, Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, all great channels you need to support. And speaking of supporting great channels like this one, please click on the little Joe on the right-hand corner of your screen on YouTube. If you've not done that already, it's because then you'll be subscribed. If you're on Facebook, where we had over 2,000 views for our coverage on playback the other night between the Lakers and Bulls, go ahead and follow us there. Or Twitch or Twitter, what have you, so you get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air, whether it's a pregame, postgame, during the game, or after the game, or even on off days, right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. Right there, I said subscribe to his channel, right there, Daniel Berry indeed. But it is the Lakers tonight against the Golden State Warriors, prime time for ABC, running up against the WWE Royal Rumble. Just wanted to let you know it's going to be a Royal Rumble in and of itself when you have the Lakers and the Warriors in Golden State land. It is the start of the very famous Grammy trip, 6 games on the road for the Lakers. It starts tonight, a very pivotal road trip, probably the most important road trip of the season because of where the Lakers are currently right now, 23-23, tied for 9th place in the Western Conference. A lot to do for the Lakers, and it starts tonight. But here today to go ahead and discuss everything that's going on with the Lakers, 2 great panelists indeed they are, and comprise of the Lakerholics with Laker Tom and Jamie Sweet. We'll start off with the number one Lakers blogger himself, the guy who has been retweeting and tweeting and also retweeting at Laker Tom and tweeting some proposed trades. Crazy or not so crazy, you decide yourself at Laker Tom on Twitter. It is Laker Tom. And Tom, great to have you here. I said it in the opening that this is probably the most important trip of the season for the Lakers because 6 games on the road. The Lakers, after a very home-filled January, managed to bungle it by coming out of it on the other end and pretty much in the same place they started at 500. This is now the time the Lakers have to act. The Lakers have no more room for error if they want to go ahead and move up in the Western Conference, Tom.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that we're a 500 team, 12 had that stretch of home games there, and we were all looking at those 12 games, and we started off 17-17, and we finished 23-23. We are what we are, a 500 team. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next 6 days. We should at least go 4-2. There's 4 winnable games there and a couple of tough games. But it'll be interesting to see what happens with this team. D'Angelo Russell is playing beyond he's ever played before. He's playing better than he's ever played before. And it all sort of started because he was watching from the bench after he lost the starting job and decided, the hell with this. I'm not going to defer to these guys anymore. I'm instead going to try to play off them and take advantage of it. And lo and behold, he's shown the Lakers exactly what they need from a third star. He went from 13 shots to 19 shots a game in that 7-game stretch when he came back. LeBron at 19.2 beat his 18.9 by 0.3 of a shot per game. That's, I mean, in some ways, D'Lo had nothing to lose. He was pretty much on the trade block and he was going to be gone. Everybody knew it, including D'Lo. I mean, he set the trade up himself last year when he agreed on a contract to give up his no trade rights. So he went out there with this whole new attitude of just, playing off of these guys rather than deferring to them. And lo and behold, he's averaging 27.4 points, 2.3 rebounds, 6.2 assists. He's shooting over 50% from everywhere and 90% from the free throw line. He's taking as many more shots than Anthony Davis and anybody else on the team. And he's proving that he is exactly what the Lakers are hoping to trade for, which is a guard who can take high volume of 3-point shots and make them. He's making over 5 threes a game and shooting 53%. I think the Lakers, Joel Embiid just came out with a list of odds that certain players are going to be traded or will they still be on the Lakers. D'Lo's got a 40% chance of still being on the Lakers. And I think they should trade. I think they should keep D'Lo. We can't just keep spinning people over and trading them over for new guys every year. There's a point where you got to say that, okay, we're not going to give up Reeves. Well, we're not going to give up Russell either, because we can turn him into the shooting guard we need alongside of Devontae, and it'd be a perfect combination. It's a little bit scary because it is sort of like a repeat of what they did with Trae Young, except that Trae Young can't play off the ball, whereas D'Lo is probably about as good a catch and shoot 3-point shooter as you can find around the league. And so I think that there's a possibility that the Lakers, it just depends on what the trade market is like. They want DeJounte Murray for sure. They're going to give up whatever they have to do to get him. And in many ways, if they don't have to trade D'Lo, they could easily trade Rui, or they could trade Gabe and Prince. There's several combinations they can do without Reeves and D'Lo, and they don't want D'Lo. All that does is create a complication of having to involve a third team. I think you just give them a couple of. I don't have a problem, for example, if giving the Atlanta Hawks a trade swap. I don't have a problem with giving them 2 trade swaps, because I don't believe that there's any situation in the world where the Atlanta Hawks are going to, the Lakers are going to be worse than the Atlanta Hawks, and the Hawks are actually going to be able to swap a pick with us. So, if you don't have Reeves to trade and you don't have D'Lo to trade, maybe you have to give up a little more draft capital. I think it's worth it. I think it's one of the options that's in the game today is to keep D'Lo. He's played so well, and he can't keep up those numbers because they're absurd, but he's showing that if you give him the shots, he's going to score. And if our coach wouldn't pull him out every time he goes a little bit cold, then, maybe he could find some consistency. It just seems ludicrous to me that a team that's so desperate for a volume 3-point shooter suddenly finds out they have one, and he happens to be their number 1 trade target or trading chip that they're going to use. I don't think that can happen. That doesn't make sense. I think if we trade D'Angelo Russell, he'll come back to haunt us worse than Caruso.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is, of course, the Lakerholics Spotlight for the Lakerholics pregame. The Lakers and Warriors tonight, but also here today, good man indeed. He's got Banjo in queue right here. It is, of course, Admiral Akbar himself, Yami Swoot, a.k.a. Jamie Sweet, Mr. 5 Things, the local never-do-well, as he is.
Uncle
But
Larry.
before we go into an introduction, a little bit more, my friend, and I gave you a little bit question to ponder as you go ahead in your usual uh, great answers that you always provide. Funny, a couple months ago, I was one of the first individuals to sound out DeJounte Murray's name as a possible Lakers trade target.
Yeah.
And for one of the first people to shoot me down at that point in time, if I'm not mistaken, on the air here, it's the guy standing, he's right guy right next to me, Mr. Laker Tom. Funny how things change over the course of time.
I mean, listen, Tom likes to default to volume 3-point shooters. That's his first.
Okay.
He's consistent.
Well, that was around the time his main trade target was Draymond Green.
Well, that was absurd. I mean, I think at the time he was probably, if he was going to pull a guard.
You're on mute, Tom. You're on mute, Tom, to retort. You're on mute to retort.
No, but I mean, listen, Draymond Green.
There you go. No, you're on mute, Tom. Tom, get off mute so you can get back to us.
Anyway, Draymond Green's a terrible fit on any team not named the Golden State Warriors, and he's not great.
Tom, I'm just kidding you, my friend. But yes, I did mention it, and you did blow me off. As far as the, that was no good on DeJounte Murray the first time I mentioned his name.
But I mean, I think that also at the time Murray wasn't playing very well, right? He had a rough start to the whole season.
Right.
I will give you that. Yes.
And
he's had a rough 2 years in Atlanta because
he has had a rough.
He was used to be in the lead guard, and he goes and he's got to be robbing to Trae Young. So
you know what? He's actually kind of in the same boat D'Lo is.
I'm just saying what the obvious in that.
No, Gerald, listen, you don't make a lot of opinions without being wrong a lot of the time, man. I mean, that's the name of the game.
I'm wrong. Yes, I agree.
So, that's fine. I own up to my mistakes, and I've made a lot of really woozy ones. But one thing I will defend is generally I have solid reasons. I'm a good salesman. I know how to pick out good reasons to support my arguments.
Fair enough. I'm just teasing, Tom. I'm just teasing.
That's okay.
As long as you
has changed too. What's interesting about him is I find the comparison very apt to DeJounte playing with Trae Young to be very similar with Halliburton playing with De'Aaron Fox, in that he's a secondary player in both cases. And once you freed Halliburton of playing with Fox and you gave him the ball all the time, he really produced. And basically what we're seeing D'Lo do is exactly that same thing. All of a sudden now he's, just because he felt free because he was going to get traded or whatever the heck it was behind the whole attitude shift, he came out and, man, he was aggressive like he's never been before playing with LeBron and AD. And frankly, aggressive like nobody that we've ever brought in before has done. Nobody's outshot LeBron James and taken more shots than LeBron. And he's damn well close to that. 18.9 shots to 19.2 a game. That's pretty startling. But it's the formula for how you want to succeed if you're going to be the third star with the Lakers. And the byproduct of this whole thing is 5 threes, 5 made threes a game and 9 attempts per game. That's exactly what the Lakers want from a Buddy Hield or a Bogdanovich, or those are exactly the types of things that you want. You want that high volume scorer that everybody's afraid of that is going to take those shots. And everybody wonders on the Lakers, we're going to bring another guy in, he's going to forget how to shoot, or how is he going to get the shots, or we need to change our system. We don't need to change anything except put D'Angelo Russell out there as a starting shooting guard next to DeJounte Murray, and we will have a team that takes 15 threes a game and makes like 6 or 7 of them. That will dramatically increase it. In the last 7 games, the Lakers went to 18th in made three-pointers from 28th for the season, just because of Russell. I mean, it's a dramatic thing, the difference it can make in this team. Now, we've lost some of the free throw shooting ability. We've lost some of the points in the paint. So we haven't been winning as a result of that. But it's a step in the right direction in a critical area that's important for the Lakers to solve if they want to be a championship caliber team. How they answer this, whether they trade, do they keep Russell? Do they try to incorporate him along with Murray? That could be a decision that could affect the future of the Lakers as big as anyone that Rob Pelinka and the ownership has to make this year.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is the Lakerholics. Please support them today at Lakerholics.com. But again, Jamie Sweet is back, the Mr. Banjo writer himself, but that was my fault, Jamie. As long, because I know I already got one up on Tom this season already as far as winning the bet, and I hope he treated Mrs. Laker Tom to a great dinner.
I did.
And there you go. Bet is paid off. Absolutely. So, Jamie, I'll bring it back to you, my friend. With the Lakers now on this Grammy road trip, it is going to be the most important for salvaging this season. If we want to go ahead and salvage the season, it has to start now. After a terrible month where it looked like everything was set up for the Lakers to succeed, and they managed to bungle it. And now you've got to go ahead out on the road the next 6 games. Laker Tom is saying 4-2. I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but yeah, this is to me probably one of the most important times of the season for the Lakers to go ahead and try and recoup some losses at this point in time.
I mean, I think we're going to come back from this road trip exactly where we're at 500. I don't think we're going to go 4-2. I think we're going to go 3-3. I mean, we said the same thing about this homestand. We were like, this is it. You've got a nice chunk of games where you can build up, some wins and get yourself back towards the, in the play-in out of the play-in and into the playoff conversation. Didn't do it. Whatever reasons people want to throw out there at this point, we've heard every reason we've heard every excuse as to why the season's gone the way it's gone, from fans to coaches to Rob to Jeannie. Everybody's got a great excuse, but the fact is, there are 500 basketball teams over halfway through the season. So this shouldn't be a mystery to people anymore. If the improvement,
it is a mystery because we're better than that. I believe we're better than that. I think we are better than that. So there are reasons why we haven't performed as well as we should have been.
That's fantastic to say. And thoughts are wonderful, but it doesn't translate into where we're at. And so, we can keep the team. I think I said this like 2 weeks ago on the nightcap with Joe, or I forget when I said it, but this team needs to stop trying to look at groups of games. They need to stop looking ahead. They need to stop looking back. They need to focus on the next game. Just win the next game.
Stop. They need to win the next play. They need the next play, the next quarter.
I'm really going to try to make a point here, so it'd be nice if you let me try. That's what you talk for like 25 minutes straight. So
go ahead.
We don't focus on the next game. If we keep falling into this trap, and it's fine for fans to do it. Fans can be like, oh, we should do this or that, or this, and we're not the ones trying to fix this mess. And it's a mess. This is not how anybody thought the season would go. This is a season that's falling short of expectations. Last season we had a scapegoat. The season before that we had a scapegoat, and we fired that scapegoat. Vogel was a scapegoat. Westbrook was a scapegoat. Who's the scapegoat? There's no scapegoat this year. So now this is time to show as an organization from top to bottom what you're made of. And, this is a 500 team. It'd be wonderful if we were better than we were, and it's nice that we're not worse. But this is who this team is. And whether whoever you want to choose to blame, it doesn't even matter at this point. If you want to say like, oh, well, there's been so many injuries. Every team's had injuries. Every single team has had injuries. Some teams way more injuries than us, and they're a 500 team too. We're not that much better than Atlanta. Atlanta's a 500 team. We're both 5. Our records are who we are. So we can hyperbolize or hypothesize or dream all we want about something different or better. But the truth of the matter is that we're coming up on a tough road trip, and this team has shown that it's only good at one thing, and that is being vastly different from game to game. That the energy level, that the effort, that the focus, the attention to detail, the execution is not at a consistent level. It's certainly not at a playoff series winning level. It's just not there. And there's not a single trade that I think is going to fix that immediately. We're not going to bring a player in that ups that level of execution. So the guys who are here, and whether they're worried about being traded or not, you're in a business where you're going to get traded. So just move on. Like AD said the right thing after his postgame. He's like, A lot of guys threw their names in those rumor mills, and like I try to tell them, like, just tune it out. Like, it just creates discord and disharmony here in the locker room, and we all have a job to do, and that's the right attitude. This is honestly the Laker I'm most impressed with this entire season is Anthony Davis. This is by far his best season as a leader. He's been more vocal, as it seems like, in the press and in the media, like openly challenging the team and the coaches, as opposed to being kind of deferential and like, oh, well, we're working on it. That seems to have gone out the window, and I couldn't be happier because we need a guy like that. We need somebody more like Kobe who doesn't care if he's liked. LeBron is a little concerned about whether he's liked, I feel like, too much. And that's fine. He's LeBron James. He's the face of the sport. That's fine. But for us as a team, we don't need to be liked. We need a guy who's going to push these guys who need to be pushed. D'Lo is not a self-starter. He needed to be pushed. The benching was his wake-up call, right? He came out of that playing like we all hoped he would the whole season. And the problem is that I just don't believe, I don't have faith, and I don't trust that he will do this consistently for the next 38, 50 games into the playoffs. I think once the trade deadline passes, he's going to sit back and coast again. And I think there's a lot of guys who are going to do that. And some guys might flop. They might be like, oh, now I'm not going to get traded. I can relax. I can get back to playing normal basketball. You know, it's so much of the problem with the Lakers this season is in the mental game. It's not that we don't have talent. We have size. We have a speed issue, I would say, but we don't have a size issue. We don't have a strength issue. We don't have a force issue. We're a team that plays with force and power, and we just don't execute enough. We just don't keep to our principles enough. We stray, and the coach does weird things with the rotation, and that's on him. And so that's just my whole problem with this season is that nobody has been consistent, and you can always see it coming. It happened with Vogel. The year that Vogel got fired in preseason, he was like, I want to find a starting five and just roll with it. And we're going to have nothing but consistency all season long. And then it was injury. And you just set yourself up for failure. Ham said the same thing this season in training camp. I want to have a starting five that's locked in, and we're going to go with these guys till the end. If you're ever going to be a coach in the NBA, never, ever say that. You're setting yourself up for failure because somebody is going to get hurt, and you're going to have to adjust. You're going to have to adapt. The other teams will scout out what you're doing. You're going to have to. It's sport, man. Changes are built into the idea of the whole thing. So be malleable. Be flexible. It'd be great if we had the health that some team, like Boston. Boston's had a great run of health this season, right? Not too many guys have been hurt. When they have been hurt, it's only been for a couple of games. Porzingis is probably their biggest concern, and I think they've handled his legs in general really well on that team, and they're going to go as far as Porzingis' health takes them. We haven't had that same luck, but we also shot ourselves in the foot with like the Reddish-Vando lineup, with a lot of different ways we shot ourselves in the foot. But I don't want to like flay the dead horse for the 27th time, but this team needs to just stop looking back and blaming the past and whatever happened in the past. Just focus on this game tonight. And then when that game is over, move on to the next one and keep it that simple. This team seems like it's so wrapped up in like getting to some place at the end that they might not get to if they don't focus on the here and now. And it feels like it feels like everybody just wants to like kind of brush off the regular season and we'll be in the playoffs, right? And it doesn't work like that. You got a whole 82 game grind to get through, and there's no getting around it. No matter how tired LeBron is of the regular season and how much he wants to just play for championships, no matter how much the travel wears on AD and sleeping in tiny beds or whatever, all of it, you're going to go through it, or you're not going to play in the playoffs. So that's the challenge, right? And the Lakers have not risen to that challenge this season. And so I'm predicting that we come back at exactly 500. We're at 500 right now. I think we're going to go 3-3 on the road trip. I think we're going to come back at 500. My only hope is that if we do make a move, that it's one that really makes sense, not just now, but for the future. I like Tom's idea of, I'm fine with pick swaps as long as we're able to draft talent. going forward, because what we're starting to see with the Lakers is the same thing that you're seeing now with the Warriors. There is a disparity in the youth, in where the youth is on their ability to impact the game of basketball. Our best young player is Max Christie. That's scary. You could argue Reeves, I guess. Our best young player is Austin Reeves, and even that's scary because Reeves is not a starter. He would be an elite bench guy, and he's an above average.
Plus, he's 25, so he's not as young as you think he is anymore.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm calling him Reeves because he hasn't hit the prime years of 27, 28, 29. But, like, that's scary, right? After him, it's Christie. And then there's nothing. There's nobody. Don't come to me with Jalen Hood-Schifino.
It's been a failed draft this year.
We need to keep Russell, and we need to add somebody like Murray, but we need to send out somebody like Hachimura or Gordon and Prince for him. We don't want to send out Reeves, and you don't want to send out Russell, because
I agree.
You do that and you're taking a step backwards immediately in your offense.
I agree.
Our problem is our offense as well as our defense.
I don't think you're wrong, Tom. I just don't think you're going to get an impact player back for Vincent or Hachimura.
Well, I don't know. You got to gamble on it, because obviously any player we get back is going to be flawed. It's the reason why they're eligible to be traded to the Lakers.
Right now, is Young back? Is he playing again? Is he back from the concussion?
Yeah, he was back last game.
Oh, that's probably why they lost.
Yeah. Well, that was actually
They only gave up 148 points last, and what 73 to Luka.
Yeah, Luka scored half those.
Yeah. Well, man, I have you gone to the video and seen the shots that Luka made to do that? Well, come on. I saw a couple of tweets about what horrible defense it was when Luka made one drive for an easy basket. The shots the guy was making all night long were just incredible.
No, he was on fire.
Step back threes that are intensely challenged. And
Russell was the same the other night, right? He had that one-legged sideways three-pointer that he made where I was just like, you're unconscious right now, bro. Oh, can I help you?
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is the Lakerholics right there for you. It is, of course, Jamie Sweet and Laker Tom. Go ahead and check out what they do on a daily basis, because the site is up and running again. Yes. Thank goodness. Yes. Big praises for small things as far as it's concerned. When it comes to Lakerholics.com.
He like axles. I think there's a guy.
There was a panic this past week in regards to Lakerholics.com, but it's all back up and running. Tom, when it comes right down to it, though, a lot of the pressure, no matter what group we get, no matter what trades we make or don't make, no matter what concerns we have as far as the finances under the cap, stay under the cap, avoid the repeater tax, all that other stuff as far as it's concerned. When it comes right down to it, we still have the same coach in Darvin Ham, who's been like our friends that we talk Mavs dealing with #FireKid, have been trending worldwide with #FireHam now for quite some time. Darvin Ham's name has been one on this show and on this staff and on this, most of our panelists and most of our crowd have been very dissatisfied with his coaching performance this past almost 2 seasons now. But you've been one of his main supporters. How do you feel about him now and the job he's doing with a team that is, again, 500 on the verge of going on its biggest road trip of the year?
Well, I always look at the performance of the players on the team as a reflection of the coach, because I think the coaches are extremely important, both in the tone they set, the expectations they set, what they're willing to tolerate, as well as the key relationships that they develop with the key players on the team. And in this case, it's LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I don't see the purpose of ripping the coach left and right for moves that probably wouldn't make a difference in how this team has performed at this point in time. I think, I'm sure that a better coach might have 4 or 5 more wins at this point in time, but a better coach is not going to put the Lakers into the top echelon of teams with the injuries and things they've had. And
4 or 5 wins.
And listen, the season is a long season, and we saw the same type of situation as Ham was trying to work through his first season. The injuries then were to LeBron and AD, which is a different situation than he's getting now, where the injuries are all of the supporting cast. AD has elevated his play, where all of a sudden now he's the guy who we can't have off the floor, whereas it used to be LeBron. Now we almost couldn't even beat a team when we got AD out there and everybody played well. So it doesn't. Am I satisfied with Ham's strategy, his starting lineups, and his rotations? No. But the other side of it is that you have to realize anybody who's a coach has a lot more information about those players that he's making a judgment on than we do sitting here watching the game at home, So I'm not going to, I haven't seen anything that would make me, if I was the owner, fire Darvin Ham at this point in time. But I hope that there have been conversations on, with the front office, with Pelinka, and with the rest of the coaching staff on some of the decisions that we're making. I think that some of the changes at the lineups that we've seen so far have been the result of the front office interceding and pushing Ham in the right direction. And I appreciate that Ham at least is willing to be pushed, instead of resisting it like some coaches would. So I don't see the problems as focused on being the coach and this player and that player decision. I think like last year, right now we're 2 games better than we were last year. We were 2 games under 500 last year at this point in time. So,
whoop-de-doo! Such a big improvement this year.
The next 6 games aren't really going to matter. What's going to matter is what do we trade? What do we do in the trade market?
Okay.
That'll save us like it did last year, or it won't.
So let me ask you this, and I'll get it back to Tom on this question.
What if we don't make a trade?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to ask you. Because, again, people have to realize Bobby Marks kind of clarified.
There'll be trades. They may not trade the pick. I think that's a possibility.
Please, just let me say this. Bobby Marks clarified it because of the fact the Lakers are so close, yet under the tax. If they go and make moves that'll keep them there under the tax, or they just don't do anything at all, let's just say, there's a possibility the Lakers not only will be rid of the repeater tax, they'll also financially gain from it because of the fact that the teams that do go over the tax have to pay the teams under the tax at the end of the year, which
they're
could be
they're going to save $15 million.
It's about $14 million. Yes, they will get a check cut to them of roughly $14 million. So, Jamie, with that in mind, I'm going to bring it back to Tom on this question. But Jamie, you mentioned, what if they don't make a substantial move or any moves at all at the trade deadline?
I could everybody, I could see it 50-50 up until season.
You predict that every year that we're never going to make a trade.
No, that's high for me, actually. I usually would be dead set.
No trade. Yeah, usually it's no trade. Okay, 50.
I would be certain there was no trade. And for
I'll guarantee 100% there will be trades.
Well,
there will be trades.
I'm not saying that. Well, I'm sure other teams will trade. I don't know that the Lakers will.
Be Laker trades.
I'm
at least 2 or 3 new players.
I'll tell you why. There's 3 reasons, and they're very simple. One, up until last season, Rob Pelinka had never once made an in-season trade during his entire tenure as a GM. He had
that changed last year. He made several trades.
Expiring contract and Russell Westbrook that he was able to move and bring back several role players, which was exactly what we needed to do. You had to break up that giant contract into 2, 3, 4 players, and that's what the Lakers did.
More pressure last year than this year, really, to make a trade. They had to make that trade. They couldn't keep him another year. That would have been disastrous.
Westbrook? No, they had to make that trade. That was the last, because they were going to lose money.
We don't have anything this year that pressing that says we have to make the trade.
Agreed.
We also don't have those great assets of an extra first-round pick or.
No, but look at what we traded last year. The second-round picks, we accumulated 5 second-round picks to use.
More importantly, had we let Russ walk, we would not have gotten the whole sum of his contract back to work with that summer. They had to move him last year because if you don't, you are basically giving up workable cap space.
And that's their worry with D'Angelo Russell too, because he has that player option.
But if he walks, we do just get 18.5. We don't.
We're under the tax now.
Yes, you're wrong, but that's okay.
We won't get 18.5. We won't have the cap space.
We'll have 17. We'll have what he made this season. We'll have 17, whatever it is.
If we stay under the tax.
If we stay under the tax, yes.
If
It doesn't matter. You have to stay under the cap in order to have cap space to sign free agents. And that 18.5 that you're not going to get that. You're losing that. That's why the Lakers are not. That's the main reason to trade Russell is you don't want to be stuck with him opting out and then you get nothing for him in trade. He walks for nothing like Caruso did.
Yeah, but don't remind me.
That's the reason the Lakers will trade him if they trade him is they don't want to lose him for nothing. Now the alternative is to sit down with him and say, hey, okay, we want to start you next year. We're going to keep you. We're going to re-up you next year in a new contract. You just turn down the player option and we'll give you a little more money and give it to a 3-year contract. And he'll play shooting guard and hope that he doesn't turn out to be like Trae Young.
I definitely will see about that. So it comes to tonight. I wanted to go ahead and make sure I asked you that as well before we get into the Lakers.
I think they will do that, Gerald. I think that the amount is they're $4.9 million under the apron right now and $1.9 million over the tax. So if they were to do a trade where they sent out, let's say, $2 million more than they took back in, or to create a little room, $3 million more, $4 million more, to create a little room, then they would eliminate the tax and eliminate the repeater status and get the kickback of the money from the profit sharing.
I just making sure that people know.
The Lakers turning down $15 million divided by 6. That's $2.5 million for each one of those.
But that's what I'm saying, Tom. I'm telling people out there because the trades, the proposals, everything's out there on the table. This person, that. I'm just saying this has to be something people have to put in consideration. I'm not saying they should do it. I'm not saying they shouldn't do it.
We can't take back more money than we send out, really.
I'm just saying, I'm just telling people out there that they must realize that they have to understand that the Lakers aren't a corporation that is fiscally trying to, in certain ways, watch the bottom line. Whether we like it or not, there is that possibility they may penny pinch at the wrong time once again.
I don't see that as penny pinching because I think that the Lakers have decided that this new tactics that the league is using to try to punish the Clippers and the Warriors isn't affect them because they're not going to be stupid enough to fall into that category where they end up having to pay a lot of taxes. They're just not going to do it. They've found a method for putting together a team and staying under the cap, and I think that's where they're staying under the apron, tax aprons, and I think that's what they're going to do going forward. I don't expect them ever to join the corporate, any place counts. That's not. We all know that's not the Lakers.
It's not.
And we all know that a chance to fit $15 million to save $15 million will be a big motivation.
No,
to get $15 million in this case.
Money.
So it comes down to it tonight. And once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. The Lakers will be on in about 20 minutes, right here on Playback. Or also as well, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. We're all over the place coming up with you the simulcast right here in just a few minutes. Join us for that.
Got 2,000 viewers. ABC. That's a good thing because
it's on ABC. But yes, you can follow along with our commentary. Also as well, our chat rooms are all wide open all over the place. So go ahead for their simulcast as well. But Jamie, I'll bring it back to you. What are the keys for tonight against a team we are very familiar with, a team which I believe we have ended their dynasty in the last playoff run, and I'm very happy to say that. Your thoughts, my friend, on tonight's game between the Lakers and Warriors. This is two struggling teams trying to stay afloat in the Western Conference.
I mean, I think we have to thank, the Kings more for not being able to do it because I think we would have had a hard time against the Kings last season. But yes, we may have ended that dynasty. To be honest, it was on its way out at the beginning of last season when Draymond Green punched his teammate during practice during preseason. So, yeah,
maybe when they drafted Jordan Poole, even could have been when they drafted Jordan Poole.
I think they should have let Green walk and kept Poole. I think Poole in that system with those.
God, have you seen Poole play?
Yeah, that's because he's not a number one guy.
Oh, man, I watched Poole play one game because I wanted to see Jones and I wanted to see Gafford.
Yeah.
Boy,
no,
you don't even want to see that. He is worse than the worst players on the Rockets as far as any kind of discipline or
in a terrible situation. I think he and Kuzma are in a situation of enabling where there's a team that really has no impetus. I mean, what's the winningest Warrior team? What's the winningest Wizards / Bullets / whatever else they've been called over the years team that you can think of? They are a perpetual middling team.
I can think of several names, but you guys weren't alive when they played.
That's what I'm saying.
That's so long ago.
It's been decades since the Washington, D.C. team mattered, other than the fact that everybody's got to go there to play every once in a while. And that's when they do their presidential visit for the champions that won the season before.
Right.
So that's woohoo. That's the woohoo of the Washington, D.C. team. They can change their name. They can rebrand as many times as they want. They can turn.
I hope they could keep feeding us a few players. There's a couple of guys I'd like to have for second-round picks from them.
Sure, I mean that might happen. It might not. But my point
is,
Gafford
and Jones for 3 second-round picks. That'd be a good deal.
And Poole are better than they are on the Wizards. Kuzma was a better Laker than he was a Wizard because he's not a number one guy. He's a number 3 guy, and he's a great number 3 guy. He's a good number 2 guy, and he's a bad number 1 guy. Poole is the same.
Number 4 guy in my mind.
Poole is the same, though, right? Poole is a great backup point guard or decent starting point guard, kind of like Reeves, right? I'd put him in the same category as Reeves. You put Reeves on the Wizards right now, and he's going to be shooting 27 shots a game, and he's going to look terrible. He's going to look terrible.
These are guys, you got tiers of players. You got the guys in the 40s, the guys in the 30s, the guys in the 20s. Our problem is we got 2 guys in the 40s. And then we jump down to a bunch of guys in the teens. We don't have anybody in the 20s and 30s. It'd be nice to have, one guy in the 30 and one guy in the 20s. And
do you mean in the money that they make?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
right.
Okay. I mean, that's inconsequential.
That's basically the tiers you have to build because you only have a limit of how much money you can spend.
This is my point. It's not so much the money that Poole's making. He was going to get paid next season. I think that, like the Lakers making a bad choice between THT and Caruso, the Warriors made a bad choice by not letting Green go. They could have let Green go, and I'm not saying that Wiseman was the answer, but they could have found another center to bring what Draymond Green brought to that team, which is a decent amount of passing. They could have just brought in Olynyk or something like that, and it would have been fine. And you would have just cut down on the drama. You would have cut down. You even would have cut down on like your cap cost, right?
But you look at the way that they treat the luxury tax. That's just the cost of doing business, man.
Well, you say that
they sit there and they look at the appreciation of the value of the franchise and they say, "This is money well spent, man."
But you say that
what the league says.
But they're going to let Clay walk, and they're going to waive, and they're going to waive CP3. And then they'll be right there at the apron with everybody else. That's what's going to happen this summer. After this season,
we'll see. I'm not so sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's no way Clay's going to sign for
like the Clippers. The Clippers they're going to leave the Clippers as the only team out there that just is going to spend like crazy.
Yes. Phoenix. So we got to remember Phoenix has also spent quite a bit.
Phoenix has also spent crazy. But the point is that the Lacombe's are not made of money, right? They can't just print it. At some point, they're going to look at the diminishing return on their investment and make a decision to restore some semblance of balance. And it's going to happen this summer. Simply, and it's not because of the cost. It's because the money isn't producing winning. When the money produced wins, that's one thing. That's what got them the Chase Center.
Yeah, but they could. They're not going to fall back.
But
they're not going to fall back as far as their ambitions are going.
I'm not saying they're going to fall back on their ambitions, but they will restore balance to their cap sheet,
right.
And they'll do that by cutting.
They may have to rebuild at some point. I don't know.
They'll try to do what the Lakers have done around LeBron, and that'll be like, well, all right. Yeah. I mean, the Lakers let an entire championship roster basically walk away for nothing. So you're telling me that I'm not talking about unprecedented stuff.
Well, they gambled on improving it, and the gamble was a terrible risk that they took that they shouldn't have taken.
But they still did it on the cheap, and listen. This is the point. they're gonna let CP3 walk because he's not producing winning and he can't stay healthy. They're not gonna. What's his 28 mil next season? 24, something like. They're not gonna pay him that. He'll be an unrestricted free agent come the first day they can cut him loose, and they'll say thank you so much for everything you did. It was wonderful.
And he'll sign for the MLE somewhere and be a good backup point guard.
And I'm sure the Warriors would love to have him on the vet minimum, and he'll sign elsewhere for more money. And the same thing will happen with Clay. They'll be like, thank you so much for your years of service. We are certainly not going to pay you anything close to $20 or $30 million a year because you're just not worth that much.
Yeah, I hope we don't sign Clay.
Because he's looking for a $20, $30 million deal.
I've watched a lot of Warriors games.
Who wants to play Klay Thompson in his one leg, $20 to $30 million for four seasons?
Bad.
So that's something the Wizards can do, right? We can let the Washington Wizards make that choice, or the Brooklyn Nets, or somewhere where they maybe have a little more wiggle room and could use a veteran presence who is kind of not necessarily even a win now player anymore, but like a guy who does impact living positively. But he's not the defender he was, and he's not the shooter that he was. And so they're not going to pay those two guys what they're looking for. Right. And so they're not because they wouldn't want to stay Warriors, but because they're going to value their playing more than their location.
Well, we're also now really in the full-fledged transition from one generation of players to another.
Oh yeah, no, that started. I'd say that even started 2
seasons ago. We've been close to hitting that crest where we're doing it, but we're right there.
No, it started when Jokic started like dominating the MVP race. That's when it started. He, Embiid, Doncic, and unfortunately Trae Young.
Well, what about this string of 60, 70-point games? I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm reading all of this stuff. Like I said, I watched, there's a tweet out there that you can actually watch every one of Luka's baskets for 73 points. It's incredible the kind of shots the guy was making.
Oh,
he was throwing everything but the kitchen sink at him. It was like 4-on-1 on some of these shots. And every one of those shots is just like lethal. It's just incredible how good the guy is. But and I'm assuming that Embiid looked the same way. I didn't see that game.
No, he was dominant. But
Booker so 62 and they lose?
Well, that doesn't surprise me. Booker's, I'm a big fan of Devin Booker, but I do consider him to be overrated in his star wattage, at least in the way that it actually impacts real win.
I mean, that's amazing to have 4 guys exceed 60 points.
I'm of the opinion that Booker is more Allen Iverson than Kobe Bryant at this point. And they're both great players, but Kobe's a winner and Allen Iverson is good. Different. There's differences. There's a difference there. It's subtle, but it's real.
Well, it's two-way players. Real two-way players. Superstars. Two-way superstars are totally rare.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. The Lakerholics are here. Jamie Sweet and Laker Tom. Go ahead and check out what they do on a daily basis. Get the site's back up and running at Lakerholics.com. Before we head it out, it is tonight. The Lakers and Warriors. The Grammy trip starts tonight for the Lakers. The next 6 games on the road. A crucial road trip for tonight. Jamie, I bring it back to you. Some keys for tonight's game. Exactly what the Lakers need to do to get it done. Draymond Green is in the starting lineup for tonight. I did post it here in the comments that it is going to be Draymond, Jonathan Kuminga, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Andrew Wiggins is the starting 5 to go against the Lakers. The one that they've been using now with Prince, D'Lo, AR, LeBron, and AD. Your thoughts on what the Lakers need to do tonight to get the job done?
It's pretty simple. Wear your cup, because you're playing against an old nut shot, and you never know when he's going to go for the balls. Listen, the guy has a reputation and he's earned it, and I'm never going to be like, oh, he's learned a lesson. No, he has not. And he should just get a job with the WWE, man. You'll do great. You'll be great. You'll do great. You can punch people in the balls as much as you want. But the Lakers got to keep turnovers low. Don't let them outwork us on the glass because they're a little team. If they out-rebound us, that's a big problem. And don't let the 3-point battle be the dominating factor. Force them to beat your strongest game, which is points in the paint. Force them to play defense without fouling, drive the ball at the rim. And I think that that's the way you have to beat this Warriors team, because they're undersized. So both AD and LeBron should be operating on the block a little more than maybe normal. And Reeves and Russell, without a true shot blocker, should drive the ball at the rim and, make them block your shot, make them play defense. And try not to let them run. Try not to let them get out in transition, which comes back to the rebounding game. Try to beat them on the boards, try to get some offensive rebounds. I'd like to say that I have been loving this stretch of play from Vanderbilt off the bench. I like that he's taking and making 3-point shots. I'll never say that it's a good-looking shot, but that's what he's got to do. If he wants to continue to have a role on the team, he's got to be some kind of a factor on offense. I'm not saying he's got to be the second coming of Ray Allen from 3, but you've got to keep the defense honest. And if that means attacking the basket, if that means taking the open 3-pointer when it's there, and because what he brings on defense is just so very tangible. I mean, that's when we've shut down teams. It's usually when he's on the floor. When we go on those 10, 15-point runs, Vando's usually on the floor. He might not be scoring, but he's definitely like getting deflections, grabbing the ball, pushing the ball up the court, and making a hockey assist. So I think those are the keys, is like to continue that, because the bench had one of the best games they had of the season against Chicago. The bench has to be there. The bench can't be an afterthought on this Laker team. This team cannot afford to just be about 2 or 3 guys. We're not that good. So if only D'Lo and AD and LeBron go off, I think we're going to lose. And that's going to be most of the time, unless it's the Wizards or, the Pistons. Got to have somebody else off the bench step up, and you need another starter to at least have a 15, 20-point game on a decent efficiency.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to go on for tonight's game. It is the Lakers and Warriors. Any thoughts, Laker Tom, on tonight's game as far as what needs to be done on the Lakers before we head on out?
Yeah, I think the Lakers need to really focus on attacking Steph Curry defensively. Put him in, make him guard people every time down the court. Isolate, try to switch onto him, and punish him. That's the best way to reduce his ability to kill you on offense, is to make him work hard on defense, and I think that's important. And then get back on defense. You have to make a choice, and guys have to run back, and the Warriors are going to try to get easy points on us. It's the way that they're going to try to combat points in the paint against us because of our size. They want to run, and they want to attack the offense, and they want to get threes in transition. So maybe the Lakers need to sacrifice, just make sure that if they're only sending one guy to the offensive boards every time, the other 4 guys getting back and making sure they keep control of the tempo of the game. Other than that, I think it's important that they continue to shoot. In the last 7 games, we've been averaging well over 13 makes. We need to make 13 threes tonight. We need to keep up with the Warriors. You can't let them have a 20-point advantage at the 3-point shot. That's almost too much for us to, especially the way the referees seem to be calling the games lately. We aren't getting a big advantage in the made free throws that we normally get, and it's hard to make up 20 points in the paint, especially if you got guys driving. And it just depends on when we don't have AD on the court, we're suspect to be able to protect the rim. So the Lakers have got to hit their shots. I think that's the key to this game.
What, you don't expect 60% shooting from the field and 64.5% from behind the arc like in the last game?
No, of course not.
I'd
like to see him shoot 40%. I'd like to see him take 35 threes and make 18 of them. That would be a good day.
I'd like to see him take 33s and hit 16.
I'd like to see him outscore on the fast break Golden State by 10, 15, 20 points. And that's because the team is best defense and transition and getting to the free throw line. That's what they do best. That's when they're at their best. That's when they're at their most dangerous, is doing that. Not trying to always trying to emulate the rest of the league with 5 outs and trying to see what they can do from there, because it doesn't always work, even though D'Lo is shooting very well and the team is coming off one of their best performances of the year from the outside. I think it's fool's gold right now with the way we shoot inconsistently for the most part, outside of D'Angelo Russell and also LeBron James, who's shooting close to 40% himself. Outside of that, it's been very shaky at best. So defense, transition, I think they can create a lot of turnovers with Golden State. Golden State is very susceptible to turnovers, and they can use that and get a lot of transition points tonight. And I think that's what they should focus on. And if they do, I think they come out with a victory once again. So.
Oh, they're
They
one
play
and a half
Golden State
point-
very
they're
well.
1.5 point underdogs. If you
They
can
play
win.
Golden State well, though. They usually do.
No, we should win this game. I have it as a winnable game.
Me too.
So, last question for you guys before we head on out. What do you think they'll do on the road? You mentioned earlier, Tom, 4-2.
Well, I think
critical
that
road.
was. I think they'll. I'm already wrong because obviously the Warriors are favored over the Lakers tonight. I have 4 games that the Lakers should win and 2 that would be tough ones for them to win, especially the Celtics game. But on the other hand, if you could pull off a win in the Celtics game, that's an opportunity to make a statement game. So,
True.
We'll have to see. I think the Lakers could go 5-1 over the next 6 games. I think that's possible. But like Jamie says, the season's not going to depend upon that, because the season is going to depend upon what Rob Pelinka is able to do and whether the Lakers actually keep D'Angelo Russell or let him walk. If they trade, it just seems very hard for me to figure out how they can improve their offense by trading what is, without a doubt, one of the best offensive players.
Jamie, any last thoughts on the trip as we start out the famous Grammy road trip before we head on out? Mr. Banjo Player.
Where's your wow, wow, wows? I mean, I would like to see of course, I would love it if we won out the trip. 5-1 would be great. 4-2 would be great. It's just hard for me to see this team overcoming the inconsistencies. That's been the Achilles heel all season long, is that, you get a good game from this guy, you get a good game from that guy, and then they disappear the next game. There's no more left. You can take it with you if you want. Grab your spoon. Sorry, my kid is having some applesauce. She's really into it. I will say this: if D'Lo can keep playing at this level for the entire road trip, I think we've got a good shot at going 4-2. I just have my doubts are based on empirical evidence. I just don't think it's going to happen.
It's hard to trust D'Lo. I love the guy.
I want to.
I want to trust him.
Yeah.
I really think that he's found a key to it, but it's hard. But but what you said is interesting, because if he could play like that for the next 6 games and not get traded.
But then what if he regresses right after that? Then we'll be like, son of a...
I don't know. The thing about it is that we talk all the time about guys that are good 3-point shooters, good 3-and-D players. You bring them over. These are guys that take 2 or 3 threes a game. 2 to 4 threes a game. They make 1 or 2. Nobody cares about them. They don't have any 3-point gravity out there. Nobody's going to guard them. There's other guys that you got to make 2 or 3 of them before I'm going to really even guard you. And so people don't understand how hard it is if you're a guy who takes 3 or 4 threes to all of a sudden take 9 or 10 threes and make them and make the same percentage or even better. D'Lo is making 5 threes out of 9 for 7 straight games. And it's because he's taken 18 shots, 19 shots a game. Nobody plays with LeBron and takes 19 shots a game. But that's what LeBron's allowed him to do the last 7 games.
Not since Kyrie.
Not since Kyrie, exactly right. And that tells you that this team does like D'Lo, and D'Lo is really I love the way he's handled himself professionally and with class through this whole thing.
Yeah.
He's matured. And I want to bet on him. I really do. Obviously, we don't have all the inside information that.
But would you bet on it?
But
would you bet on him?
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't trade him. I think I would be scared to death. Listen, they're scared to death of trading Reeves because he'll be another Caruso every time he comes into town.
Oh yeah,
it will be hell. And I really think that D'Lo could be the worst of them. He could be traded to somebody and be an all-star player consistently if he gets that many shots. And he's got a team right now where we need somebody to take that many shots and to play like that. Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Would you keep him, Jamie? What do you two guys think about this? Am I just crazy for thinking about keeping him?
The only player I would look to move right now is Hachimura. I would love to trade Vincent because I think his career's, but I don't see that happening until he's closer to the end of his contract. There's just too much money.
Well, it's tough because the other side of it is he could come back and really be a help, or he could come back and be a dud, or he could not come back at all.
Yeah,
be a nun, a Kendrick nun. I mean,
and I just don't see that happening. Elderly point guards don't age well already, and a point guard with a bad knee that isn't getting better with rest, that we hope is going to get better with surgery. That's not a trade chip. That's
shooting 7% from three so far in his first 6 games.
7%.
7%.
Yeah. No, I mean you can argue.
How do you shoot 7% from three? It tells you got to shoot enough shots so that you even get your percentage up there.
Right.
Like when you shoot low number of shots, it's hard to get a percentage of 7%.
I won't be surprised if Vincent gets shut down for the year before the trading deadline.
Yeah.
And I don't like saying that. I feel for the guy. I'm sure he didn't come here to get hurt.
We could get a trade exception, which could help.
I think we missed the boat on that. I think you'd have to do it. Well, maybe not. Maybe not because
if he gets knocked out soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to prove that he can't come back at all, and that's the same issue the Knicks had with Hartenstein or Robinson, or I forget who.
Robinson.
And so I think you'd have to prove.
Tripped over somebody in the locker room.
Somebody's going to have to, sweep the legs and
say. Game time, guys.
Game time it is. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. Tom's ready to go ahead and watch the game. They're about ready to get started. It is the Lakers Fast Break. Our live simulcast is going on right now. Magic Man Sean Grice is in the room right now for playback. Playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break going on right now. You can catch it still if you're watching us on YouTube and Facebook. The feed is going on right now. Just switch from one to the other, and you can do that right now. But don't forget our post game, world famous Lakers post game coming up after the game, and then tonight, top off your night with a nightcap with Joe Soro at 11 p.m. Pacific. So for the Lakerholics crew, go ahead and check them out at Lakerholics.com, the #1 Lakers blogger, Laker Tom, and Yami Swoot, a.k.a. Admiral Akbar. Who's going to win the game tonight, guys?
Lakers.
Huh?
Lakers by 10.
Okay, you heard it here first. That's the game for you. All right, so great to have you here, guys. Looking forward to when you return right here. It is the Lakers Fast Break. The Lakers and Warriors on our simulcast comes up right now. And for all of us, thanks for joining us on the pregame right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.
Keep the shot, D'Lo, don't you care?
I'll tell Cool Bro that you actually were playing it.
This is where you would go, wow, 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 wow.
Thanks, everyone. See you on the side.